Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
It's time for the 10 best wrestlers of 2019. I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. That right there is the new WrestleTalk magazine, which has the WrestleTalk 100. That's 100 best wrestlers of the year, but we're focusing on a different lineup for our top 10. This is just the ones voted for in our office, as opposed to the larger WrestleTalk team. Please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe. Most importantly, leave a comment down below with your best wrestlers of 2019. While we start off at number 10, Keith Lee.
Yeah, we've got to put our boy Keith in there. It's been a while since Keith's made it into one of our top 10s because he's been broadly underutilized by NXT and not really given the shot that he so rightly deserves. But hey man, the second half of this year has been a big breakout year for Keith.
It's not even the second half of the year. It's really like October when NXT went weekly. That meant he could have his Dijakovic, so hard for me to say, feud, and he got over there. And then thanks to a few injuries, he was able to get into the War Games team with Ciampa. And then off the back of that, he was in the Survivor Series match, Team NXT, and somehow he went all the way through to the end.
Eliminated Seth Rollins and went toe-to-toe with Roman Reigns.
That spirit bomb to Roman Reigns, where I bought into that near fall that they might let Lee win the whole thing, was one of my favourite wrestling moments of the year.
If he can have a stellar year where he gets some really meaty storylines and some amazing takeover matches,
Meaty.
beefy, he'll be flying high in the best wrestlers of 2020.
Well, that's it, because he was only, if he's in at number 10, based on 2.5 months' work, 2020 should be his year.
Completely.
2020s should be the decade of glory.
Oh yes, and about time too. At number 9, we have got Jordan Devlin.
Who has had an excellent year all the way through.
Indeed, yes. But not in NXT UK, where he continues to be underutilized. But this is all on his independent stuff, his amazing feud with David Starr and Walter in OTT, his great run during the Super Strong Style 16 tournament, including one of my favorite matches of the year with Kyle Fletcher of Aussie Open. Just an amazing finish to that match. The double headbutt, oh my God, it was just perfect.
It was really me seeing him live at Progress's Super Strong Style tournament, and that match against Kyle Fletcher where I suddenly got him. I was like, oh, you're legit. I was like, I always thought, because he is a smaller guy, that I wouldn't be able to take him seriously enough to the extent that everyone else was. But then in that match, I was like, oh my God, no, you are terrifying and totally legitimate. Hopefully NXT UK can start to utilize him to his talent's extent next year. At number 8, we have a lady person.
Oh.
Our only lady person on the list, but not our only Japanese person. New Japan is awesome. At number 8, we've got Io Shirai. 2 best women's matches for me this year, both involve her, which is Shirai versus Candice LeRae and the Women's War Games match.
And for my money, I thought the Women's War Games match was better than the men's one.
Totally agree. Yeah, that was the best match of the night on NXT TakeOver War Games 3?
Yeah, it is 3, yeah. Like you said, I think they have completely rebuilt the NXT women's division, and it has really felt like it's been on the back of Shirai, because although Baszler is the champion, Shirai's heel turn has just almost like rejuvenated her, and she's become such an attraction and such a star that she doesn't feel like, oh, you were Kairi Sane's mate. Now you feel like, oh my God, you're Io Shirai, and you're dangerous. As you said, that match with Candice at the TakeOver Toronto was just incredible. Easily the best women's match in North America in 2019, easily. And I don't think anyone in AEW and perhaps Tessa Blanchard in Impact Wrestling has come close. But yeah, Io Shirai for me is the best women's wrestler in North America for this year. In at number 7, it's Kota Ibushi.
I feel like, in more educated lists, he'll be a lot higher.
Yeah.
And there's every reason to be. He re-signed a lifetime deal with New Japan rather than going over with Kenny Omega and all his mates to form AEW. Ibushi was like, nope, I'm gonna stay in New Japan forever. He literally signed a lifetime deal. That's how it was billed. And as a result, he's been pushed at the top of the company. Like, he's one of their new aces, I think.
Absolutely.
And within a year's time, he'll be number 1 over Okada, over Tanahashi, over Naito. He won the G1 after becoming the runner-up the previous year. He had some of the best matches of the year.
But that G1 this year was just insane. To be honest, like we'll make this joke again when it comes to the top 10 matches, but you really could have just filled this top 10 with anyone who was in the G1 this year, because like everyone, with the exception of maybe a handful, all had just incredible match after incredible match. And Kota Ibushi is one of those guys. And he's now setting himself up for a Wrestle Kingdom, January 4th match, where he could be IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
And by January 5th, the very next night, I fully expect him to win the Intercontinental title as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the dual champion, he's had a great 2019. He's probably going to have a better 2020, providing he's injury-free, because his feud with Naito this year, as fun as it was, it sometimes takes me out of it when he's so focused on landing on his neck.
You remember the off with your head from Will Ospreay?
Yeah. Well, jumping over to All Elite Wrestling, something Ibushi did not do, is a little bit of the Jericho.
So this was your choice.
Why do you always put this stuff on me?
Because this was your call. I wouldn't have had him in my top 10.
At all.
At all. Because while I think that Jericho has been great as a character, and this is going to be weird because when we get to number 5, I'm going to completely contradict myself.
Yeah, I know.
He's not had like my favorite matches of the years or like any of my real favorite moments. I just think he's been great and he's completely rejuvenated the Jericho character. But even then, that's only come since October. But I think that there's probably names that I would have put in my top 10 wrestlers of the year over Jericho. Not saying that I think he was bad, though.
Well, thanks for throwing me under the bus.
You're welcome, mate.
I think I always thought Jericho should be the AEW champion, just from a mainstream appeal perspective. The first one, the inaugural one. But I never really thought it would work as well as it has done. And why did I think that? Because Jericho consistently has proven that he can reinvent himself and change the business. That's why I think he should be so high up in here, because he is a proven money draw.
And a ratings draw.
He did it for New Japan when he had the Kenny Omega match. He suddenly turned New Japan, which was this promotion that was having a lot of success and starting to break through worldwide, to, oh no, we're gonna get so many subscriptions through for New Japan World because it's Jericho versus Omega.
And they managed to sell out Madison Square Garden.
If you gave a top 5 of who the most valuable people are in wrestling as an on-screen performer, Jericho's easily in there.
And that's why I think as a joint list, it's a well-deserved spot. I was just saying personally, it wouldn't be in my top 10. But I think as a group, I think it was completely the right choice. As much as we all love The Fiend, who is our 5th best wrestler of 2019, he's had some awful matches, like very, very bad matches. But the character work by Bray Wyatt, this creation of The Fiend, like who would have thought? You and I watched the Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania live. We did live streams for it. How much we were laughing at Bird Raptor. And then as the weeks went on, we were all like, oh, I don't know where this is going. But as soon as Firefly Funhouse debuted, it was like, this is genius. This was an absolutely masterful piece of character work and television. And it created the most captivating character of 2019, a character that caught fire and like took the wrestling world by storm. He was the most over thing in that company, way above any of their champions, way above Kofi Mania, which was also, incredibly hot in 2019. The Fiend's been, despite some of WWE's best efforts, has had a great year.
Yeah, he's the top merchandise seller in the biggest wrestling promotion of the world. That's a testament to how much this character's connecting with everyone. He's the best character in wrestling for me.
Completely.
I haven't seen anything like him ever. And at the start of the year, if you would have asked me, I would have said he's probably one of the top guys who should leave the company and go to AEW.
Yeah.
Because he's too creative for WWE. But to WWE's credit, they have given him relatively creative free reign.
Yeah. No, completely.
It's only that one Hell in a Cell finish that went against him, really.
And that's it, yeah. And I think he has done a great job in rebuilding The Fiend and rebuilding the Bray Wyatt character for SmackDown on Fox. I think that he's had a great year. Not great matches, but as a wrestling character, all year long, I think he's been absolutely fantastic.
And around the same time that Bray Wyatt is transforming himself in WWE, Dean Ambrose waited for his contract to expire, bang on the 30th of April, and then he uploaded his Jon Moxley reinvention promo where he would soon end up in AEW.
Yeah. I still haven't quite worked out the symbolism of that video yet. It's really...
Yeah, it's subtle.
It's quite avant-garde.
Yeah, being chased by some kind of big dog.
Yep.
Breaking out of chains.
Yeah.
I don't know what it could be a reference to.
But the second he left WWE and he had all of that creative freedom and he went to New Japan and he had an amazing G1 and he's gone to AEW and has had amazing matches and he's just become like, dude, you're one of the best wrestlers in the world and you always could have been. But you were sort of like creatively held back. But now we're seeing the full version of Jon Moxley that he's always wanted to do. And it's really working. Like when his music hits in AEW, it creates a connection with that crowd. And that crowd gets amped up and they are ready for the purveyor of violence.
Oh, well, let's not go. Let's not use that phrase.
Jon Moxley is so good that one of my favourite matches of this year, it's not like the top 10 or anything, but one of my favourite moments of the year was him versus Toru Yano in the G1 where Yano pinned him. I was like, and that was his first loss outside of WWE, and I was like, of course it's Toru Yano. Like, that's genius. Like, if you're going to pick someone to lose to, you pick the lad who's selling his DVDs to people in the crowd. I thought it was a masterstroke. Speaking of masterstrokes and someone who has carried a company on his back throughout 2019, Adam Cole, baby.
I'm just being a Kyle O'Reilly for you.
Yeah. Has just had an amazing, an incredible 2019, considering that 2018 was so much built around Ciampa and Gargano. 2019, where Cole got the belt over the WrestleMania weekend, has just been catapulted into like, yeah, you are the guy in this brand. You're probably the guy in this company. You're just like, you've had amazing matches, amazing promos. The Undisputed Era are so good. I think that Cole has had an incredible year.
And it's not just him, it's the Undisputed Era around him. There's so much about packaging a guy in a faction to be more than the sum of its parts. And that's the gold. Literally gold on top of the physical championship gold they all have.
Completely agree. But who have we got at number 2?
My brother, Cody Rhodes.
Now,
there's an argument to put him at number 1.
I would not disagree. I was just about to say, when I think of Cody, I'm thinking of, we talked about Moxley and Bray Wyatt. If you'd have told me at the start of 2019, Cody will be one of your favorite wrestlers, if not your favorite wrestler by the end of the year, I'd have said, I don't think so. Because as I love Cody, and I think that Cody has really been great since he's left WWE. His stuff in Ring of Honor and his stuff in New Japan has been fantastic. But I've never really loved Cody matches. Cody matches have always been 3.5-star, 4-star matches. They've never been like, oh my God, you're like one of the best wrestlers on the planet. I've never really emotionally connected to it. That all changed at Double or Nothing when he had that 5-star classic with his brother. And from that moment, I'm like, oh my God, I get it now. I completely get it. This is why you've believed in yourself so much. And ever since then, he has not put a step wrong. Apart from the dog incident of All Out, he has not put a step wrong in the ring. And I think he's had Jericho's best match in AEW. He's had Sammy Guevara's best match. He's had Darby Allin's best match. I just think he's had all of these incredible matches and incredible moments. He's the best babyface of the year, best pure babyface. I love Cody.
He has fired on every single cylinder, starting a wrestling promotion that's legitimately competing with WWE, being a great character with one of the best promos of the last decade.
Oh, yeah.
That Go Home promo against Chris Jericho when his voice cracks and he talks about going from to unfrickin' deniable.
Yeah.
And the in-ring work. That... In terms of business changing, now I'm talking myself into him being number 1.
What an incredible year for him. I don't think you can deny, and in fact, I don't think anyone can deny, no one has had a better year in ring than Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
Who is our number 1. He's our best wrestler of 2019.
Yeah. It's... every year since about 2015, I've been like, well, how can he get any better?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And every year, And it's not like a little bit better.
No.
It's not like, oh, Jordan Devlin really came out of his shell. It's no. You have just you've pushed the boundaries of what a wrestler is.
Dave Meltzer is exhausted because it's like, there's only so many stars that I can hand out Will. And Will does it every single time. He goes out there with the mindset of just like, oh, I feel like a 5-star match kind of day. So I guess I'll just have another 5-star classic.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy, but I am that guy. I watched him when he was coming through in the early days of Progress, and I thought, wow, this guy's cool, but, you know, the facials weren't really there. He's become so good at selling. Mm-hmm. That was one of the missing parts. But over the last few years, he's just incredible at it. And he just lacked a bit of character depth. And I get back then he was a lot skinnier. He's really bulked up. He looks so physically impressive now. And to see that to what he is now, which is legitimately the best wrestler of all time, just in terms of going out every single night, or not every single night, but, 2-3 times a week, and putting on such a high quality, different kind of match.
Yeah.
Because people keep comparing it to Ric Flair in the 80s, or Ricky Steamboat, and Bret Hart, but they would go out and they would have the same kind of safe level match.
The Ric Flair match, the Bret Hart match, yeah.
Ospreay is going out there and changing it up all the time, and it's just making him better.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's a sustainable level of work rate is another question. Hopefully, we're still talking about these smarter style matches with a lot more character work, but maybe not as many horrible bumps and flippy stuff in 10-15 years' time.
Yeah, let's stop trying to do Spanish flies on the apron. Hey, Will. Let's pack that one in, I think. And I think Dave Meltzer put it brilliantly when he said, I didn't think there would be anyone better than Okada for years. And Will Ospreay is already better than Okada. And it's like, he's still young, and I think that he is smart enough that when he realizes, I can't do these big flip-de-doos anymore, that he will change his style and will continue to be one of the best wrestlers on the planet, if not the best wrestler on the planet.
Let's see what our honourable mentions are. We've just got quite a few. Tessa Blanchard. Great breakout year.
Great year she's had in Impact Wrestling. I think Impact Wrestling have had some really good stuff this year, but like the best they've had is this storyline with Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan that's going to culminate in January, where you've got to think that Tessa's going to win the World Championship.
I'll do these two together. Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr. Great stuff in AEW as the Lucha Bros. For me, though, it's Fenix. Fenix has really become a great guy to watch as a singles competitor too. We already knew that about Pentagon.
Yeah.
I didn't know how great Fenix is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tomohiro Ishii over in New Japan's another one who's just the Stone Pitbull, continues to be the most underappreciated man in New Japan.
He just missed out on. He was very close.
Yeah, really close.
Young Bucks, of course.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, what is there to say about the Young Bucks? Like, they had the craziest ladder match with the Lucha Brothers that I've ever seen in my life.
The only thing I would say why they didn't get in here is because previous years, they've just had more matches. Most of their year this year has been getting AEW off the ground from a backstage perspective, and then just wrestling in those pay-per-views.
Yeah. Still, going back to Impact, Sami Callihan, who has just been just incredible character work, finally the Impact World Champion, but I just don't think there's enough eyes seeing how good that is.
Yeah, it's not him. He's still doing fantastic heel work, still one of the best heels in the business, right up there with Ciampa and Jay White. But yeah, it's an exposure issue. And I can't
wait to see him kill Simon Miller next year.
Johnny Gargano, just a bit too plagued by injuries for me.
He's not been Johnny Takeover. And again, I don't think it's fully his fault. It's just, it doesn't feel like he had the great 2018 that he had in 2019. I think that Adam Cole took that spot from it, essentially.
Yeah, I think Gargano's injury, but also Ciampa's injury massively affected Gargano.
Completely. We'll do these two together as well because, I mean, how could you not have an honorable mentions list without Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kazuchika Okada?
Yeah.
While Okada and Tanahashi have still been having their 5-star classics, they're just not as recognized as they were last year or the year prior to that, especially when Will Ospreay's going out there and changing the game.
Yeah. Walter.
Can't have a list without Walter, mate.
Of course not. Of course, the UK champion. A great match with Pete Dunne to win the belt.
And Tyler Bate.
Takeover New York. And Tyler Bate,
Cardiff,
of course. Yeah. He's because of his NXT UK signing, though, he's just not been around the other promotions to get those fantastic indie matches as much.
Yeah. Also back to New Japan, Shingo Takagi and Jay White, who, Jay White at the start of this year was IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, they had to push him to the moon because of Omega and Cody and the Bucks all leaving. I mean, there is a possibility, because they've got so much invested in him, that it's White who retains the Intercontinental title on the first night of Wrestle Kingdom, and then maybe beats whoever the winner is for the heavyweight title.
There's every chance,
I could see that happening too. But we'll be back soon with another top 10 list. For now, please click the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things, and this button right here, which will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon. I've been Oli Davis. This has been Luke Owen, and that was 2019.